In this video, you will learn how to divide decimals by a whole number. Today's lesson is really focusing on just dividing decimals by whole numbers. We're starting easy. In the next lesson, you will eventually learn how to divide decimals by decimals, but for today, we are only focusing on how to divide decimals by whole numbers. So in this case, for example, let's just say 7.6 divided by 4. For today's lesson, our dividend, first number, would be decimal just for today's lesson, and our divisor is going to be a whole number. We're starting easy, and our dividers are purposely going to be whole numbers. And next video, you have dividing decimals by decimal, meaning both of our numbers will be decimals. So let's just focus on dividing decimals by whole number. So when we have to divide a decimal by a whole number, our first step really should be long division. You solve using long division. So our dividend will always go inside the house, and our divisor would go outside the house. Okay, so now the first step you should do, once you write out, you see your note, you spot your decimal, and you move it up right where it is. This is important and significant because if you do not right away move up your decimal, you could make a mistake. You can mess up your decimal places. So get that step done. So since we're just now that we've done that, we could start solving. I'm going to go very briefly because you already know how to solve using the long division method. So 4 can go in 7 only one time. Before we actually start solving it, if you recall from our multiplying decimal video, what was our first step? Our first step was to estimate. And you can only just estimate and just multiply decimals. You can actually, in fact, estimate even with dividing decimals. You can estimate with addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. And especially during multiplying and dividing decimals, it's super important that you have a rough idea or estimate of what your answer could be. This will make sure and preclude any silly mistakes that we could possibly make. So, like for example, if I misplace decimal like a little bit and I get a totally wrong answer, instead of 1.4, I get 14, that will preclude all those mistakes if you estimate. So if I estimate, again, you don't have to write it out. You can just do it in your head. 7.6 rounds up to being an 8, and so 8 divided by 4, since all our dividers for today's lesson is going to be whole numbers, it's a lot easier to estimate now. 8 divided by 4 is 2, so our answer should be around 2. So now we've done the estimate, now we should actually start solving this problem. So 4 can go to 7 one full times, and that would, right, now you divide, you get 3, you bring down the other number, 6. 4 can go into 36 and 9 times. So that worked out really well because now you do that and you'd get 0. That worked out really well. Now, what was our estimate? It was 2, and 1.9 is close to 2. So we know we did not make any mistakes, and 1.9 is the correct answer. Let's do one more. So this one, so this is a problem. How about you pause this video and try to solve this for yourself, and at the end we would go over it. So now, I'm assuming now that you've already done the problem, let's go over and see if you got it wrong or right. So since our 4.38 is first, this is our dividend, meaning it's going to go inside the house. And I would just break it up, dividers just go out. So remember, if you have not done this, is very important, significant. Put up your decimal, right? Line up, right? Bring it up this way, do not forget it. If you don't do it now, you probably could forget it, and this could mess up your answer. So 12 could go into 4 0 times, right? So we put 0, and We can't really do that. Now let's move on to 43. 12 going to 43 3 times. So 3 times 12 is 36 minus, we're going to do this very briefly because I'm assuming you already know how to divide using the long division method. Go bring this down. 12 going to 78 6 times. That would be 72 minus, so you get 6. Now I have 6 left. So what I can do now, I could just bring, because there is not going to be any remainders or anything like that. All I got to do is just bring down the 0, and because we don't have to put decimal right here again. We already have decimal. We can bring as many zeros down, because technically we already have the decimal point there, right over here. So if you do normally, you would probably have to put a remainder, or you would have to put a decimal, right, or a fraction. But you don't have to do that now. You could just bring it down and not worry about it. Because we know 12 goes to 60, how many full times? 5 times 60 minus 0. So your final answer is this. 0.365. Hopefully you got that one right. And also, if you would have estimated it. Now this could be a little bit tricky because our dividend is lower, and so our divisor is higher than the dividend. But you can still roughly do it. You can make 4.38 into 6. Now 6 divided by 12. If you're not good at negatives, it would be a little bit complicated or anything. But if you're really good at math, then you could probably estimate this. And if your estimate worked out, that means you probably got the right answer. But I'm not going to go over this one because this is a little bit tricky. I don't want to confuse you guys or get this a little bit more complicated. Any more complicated. Let's do one more. Now this one is going to be a little bit different. So now this problem is different. So when you solve, there will be some type of issue you may run into. So if you want, you could pause this video and try to solve this. So if you did solve it, let's go over it now. This one is different. So I label it for you guys. You don't have to label it. But 5.86 is going to go in, so 5.86, and our 6 will go outside. So now, remember, the first step always is to bring up the decimal. 6 can go into 5 0 times. Nope, that doesn't work yet, right? And now 58, 6 can go into 9 times. 54 minus 4, bring down that 6. Now it could go in 7 times, right? That would be 42 minus 4. Again, you always bring down that 0. You don't have to worry about that, right? Now that could go in 6 times, 36 minus, you get 4. Now let's try one more time. So here is where the problem occurs. So, and I don't have any more room, but that would have been 4. I keep on getting a 4. Now, since you can't do what you can't do right now is say, okay, remainder 4. I can't do that. And the reason why is it's writing decimal. If it was a whole number, yeah, that's different. But now that you are working with decimals and remainder, you shouldn't be using R for. You should not be doing that. Well, you can, since if I keep on doing, all I'm going to get is 6, 6, 6 all the way, right? Keep on going to be that. I can't write all those 6s. So we can't just put that line. This infinite, it means, right? It's gonna, this is telling me that, okay, 6 keeps on repeating, right? This is going to be keep on, it's like infinite, right? That line over the 6, be sure, right? Over 6 is going to tell us that right over here, let me rewrite that line. That, it's keep on repeating, it's never an end to it. Let's say if there's only, you notice a pattern, it's 6, and then 7, 6, 7, 6, 7. Then you just do, like, pretend it's 6, 7, 6, 7, 6, 7. You would put that line on the 6 and the 7. That would just tell the person, okay, that numbers keep on repeating forever. It's a pattern. So that's something that was a little bit different here. If you don't put the line, it will be incorrect because that means there's an end here, which there really isn't. So it's really important, super duper important to have the line. So hopefully this video helped you and made dividing decimals by a little bit easier. In the next video, you will know how to divide decimals by decimals.